Hello, and thank you for listening to Renewables, a podcast by BioStar, which aims to explore the current and future energy landscape in America.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Renewables. We're very excited about this week's episode where we are featuring Chrissy Coughlin. She is an employee at BioStar, has become a personal friend of mine, and has a fabulous background in sustainability and has had a really interesting career starting with an education at Brown, and has been in DC. She has been involved with Green Biz. She's a writer. She's a singer-songwriter. I didn't tell her I was going to say that, but I had to mention that one because she's just very, very talented in so many different ways, and we are so excited to have Chrissy on the BioStar team. We brought Chrissy on, sometime in March. Yeah, it's all a blur because as soon as she came on the team, COVID sort of struck, and frankly, she's been fantastic to work with, and we've all been able to sort of get out of our comfort zone and figure out a way to execute some of our marketing goals virtually, one of them being this podcast. So I have a lot of gratitude for Chrissy with respect to being able to get this podcast up and running and produce such a great product. A lot of this inspiration and execution came from her. So with all that, please allow me to introduce Chrissy Coughlin. Chrissy, thank you for being here.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah. So we wanted to do an employee sort of spotlight, and Chrissy will be doing these throughout the podcast, bringing on different folks in different parts of our business and just talking to them about what they do for the business and why they love working here, maybe why they don't love working here. I don't know what we'll uncover. Hopefully not very much of that. But no, Chrissy was a natural first place to start because you have quite a background in sustainability, and it's something that's been important to you ever since you were a little girl. So if you don't mind, I would love to just kind of start with who you are and how you got to here.
Well, thank you. So we were talking a little bit earlier about sort of how you get started in the sustainability world. And I think my story is kind of fun in the sense that it really started with my grandfather. So when I was a little girl, he had a cabin up in northern New Hampshire, and it was very bare bones. Our running water was a rain barrel, and we cooked all of our food on the wood stove and fly fished, and it was just really getting back to basics. If we needed wood, we cut it ourselves, etc. And it really sort of set the precedent for me. This is really important. And what was really unique about him was that he actually by trade was a politician and a lawyer, and so he was living a really sort of fast-paced life for a while, and this was his getaway place, and it was really his happy place, and it became mine. So I kind of just took the knowledge that he provided me and ran with it, and it's one of those things I sort of think about as once it's in your blood, you can't really get rid of it. So sustainability and the environment was super important to me, and I just never went away. And so as you mentioned before, I went to Brown University and had a BA in international relations, but also a soft major in environmental studies. And so that's when I really kind of formalized it and realized, wow, I can do something with this. And then went on to grad school and then into the workforce.
Yeah, and so your studies at Brown and kind of tacking on that environmental piece led you to DC, right? And sort of ended up playing an integral role in kind of how you started your career.
Yes. So that, and then going to the University of Michigan. They have a School of Natural Resources there, and that's where I did a 2-year program. And that's when I went to DC right after that. It was just a natural fit. I got a great job right out of grad school. I grew up in DC, so it was kind of going home. My brother lived there at the time, and it was just a win-win. And I was able to convince my boyfriend at the time to also follow me to DC, so it was
There you
great.
go.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he wanted to go to Alaska. And I was like, "Yeah, I love Alaska. We're not going to Alaska." So he ended up in DC. We broke up, but it was great while it lasted. But DC was, it was terrific. We learned, we're working right by the White House and a National Environmental Education and Training Foundation, which was super interesting because they had a business and environment leg to it, and they needed somebody to run that. And that's when I really ran with the whole business and environment bend to my sustainability career, because I've always felt it very important to be pro-business in this field. There are a lot of people who are not, and I don't feel like business is ever going away. And I feel like it's incumbent upon people who go into the sustainability field to actually help companies make better decisions and get inside those companies and help them. So that's when I really was like, okay, this is where I'm going to go with this. And then
Very cool. Very cool. So how long were you in DC?
After grad school, I was there for about 5 years, and then I
Gotcha.
moved out to Los Angeles and took a job with Global Green, and that's another nonprofit, and did a bunch of media relations and communications. So a very different world out there, but I was intrigued by that aspect of things, and I was also keeping up my relationship with GreenBiz, which I started in DC. And they're a California-based organization, so I was able to work with them tangentially out there as well. So,
Well, you lasted longer in Washington than I did. I worked in DC for about a year after school, and I thought I wanted to be a big bad bureaucrat, but I chose capitalism after all. So, but no, I loved living in Washington, and it's a great place to live, and such a unbelievable blend of culture and such an international city. It's a really fun place to be. So, okay, so you're in LA and you're working with GreenBiz now?
well, tangentially, but I was working with Global Green
Global
USA,
Green.
a
Okay.
nonprofit, and they did similar stuff to what I was doing in DC, and was able to work with more in the media field, which I was at that point kind of intrigued with the whole Hollywood. As a singer-songwriter, I really wanted to be in LA.
Yeah, I was gonna ask where did the writing come in? Kind of when did that
So the
start to
writing came, actually, it's a really interesting story. I taught myself how to play guitar at 25 because I was always a singer and relied on other musicians to be with me and play. And I was like, no, 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 no. I need to at least learn the basics here so I can get up on stage and do this on my own. And then it wasn't really until I was in grad school, or it was, yeah, in grad school, that I started writing songs. It was crazy. I was really busy, but then I just started writing songs, and it kind of all came together. And then I put a couple of albums out, and just had some fun with it and toured around for a while. And I just, I loved being on stage and sharing my art with people. So it was super.
That's so cool. How do our listeners find your music?
Oh, wow. I'm on Spotify.
There you go. Spotify. Easy enough. I've listened. It's great. You should check it out.
You. No, but it was really
Of
fun
course.
to be able to, be in the sustainability world out in LA and find an incredibly smart group of people, and also be able to feel like I was doing something a little bit, different with my music. DC is a great music town, but at that stage I wanted to kind of see what was out there and a little bit more. So I was able to marry both of those passions, which was great.
Really cool. Really cool. And I'm sure living in Hollywood, certainly known for being a hotbed of environmentalists and folks who find sustainability very important. Did that kind of what was next? Did that help sort of launch, or did that, I guess, shape your views in any way? Did you keep your pro business views?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
unpopularly at sometimes, because it's
Yeah.
hard. So it was really, particularly in grad school, it's very hard because people are like, what? You're going to do an internship at Ford Motor Company during grad school? I'm like, yeah, I am. They've got a great sustainability team, and why wouldn't I want to learn from them? So,
Sure.
it can be very unpopular, and particularly out west sometimes. But yes, I was able to maintain that credo or ethos or whatever. And then I did move back east ultimately, and then kind of went out on my own and was able to take it further and have some corporate clients, and then started a little radio show podcast similar to this,
Yeah.
and was able to syndicate that on greenbiz.com, which really helped get it out to more eyeballs and ears and all that stuff. So yes.
That's really cool. Yeah, and GreenBiz is an organization that I've followed for a long time. Great organization, and for some of our viewers who are looking for places to kind of check in on the sustainability conversation and business and sustainability and the intersection of all that, GreenBiz is absolutely a good place to go. So tell us a little bit more about your radio show, then called the radio show. You pointed out beforehand. Now we call them podcasts, I guess.
It was really a podcast, and much different than this. It was only audio. So
Yeah.
I think that's why it was more just, it felt more of, I don't know, I was recording it in a radio station too, so I think that helped. But it was called Nature
Sure.
of Business. And I started it just because I wanted to. It was just one of the entrepreneurial things. I just like, I really want to do this. I think that there's a need. The purpose of the radio show / podcast was to, it wasn't necessarily puff pieces for corporations or individuals in corporations doing their jobs, but what I was trying to pull out of people was the good work that they were doing. So I would interview people and give them an opportunity and a platform to talk about what they were doing, because oftentimes people don't know these companies are actually doing some pretty fantastic things, and they have the
Absolutely.
capital and they have the people power to make those things happen. So they're expediting it. And so it just gave them a platform to talk about the good things and the challenges. And I would ask tough questions, but for the most part, I just wanted the world to know, what they were doing. And
Sure.
it was just super fun. And I was able to reach a wide variety of people in different, fields. And it was just, men and women, younger, older. It was super fun.
That's really cool. Yeah, and sustainability means something different to everyone, right? I mean, that's what I think is so interesting about my job is, a lot of what I do is looking for folks that either want to reduce energy or create energy on site, whether that be with generators or solar. But it's interesting to get the different perspectives of different companies and what sustainability really means to them and in their processes. And sometimes solar and battery storage are the last thing that they want to talk about because they have a water issue or they use too much compressed air, whatever it may be. So I'm sure that offered a lot of opportunities for you to just kind of see how different industries view sustainability and what's important to different industries. Who were some of your favorite episodes? You'll have to dig back to the memory banks.
Oh man, you're gonna make me dig back. It's been like 6 years now.
And to follow up on that, also, I'm curious, how do you think the conversations you were having then kind of compare to a lot of the conversations that we're seeing now in the sustainability space? Are they similar? Have they changed? So if you can't remember a specific one in particular, that's okay. But
I just don't want to favorite, I don't want to pick favorites, for fear of offending all the other people. No, but no, I just had so many wonderful, conversations with people. But I do think the conversation is somewhat similar to this day. I think that people in the sustainability world always feel an uphill battle to try to convince people, that this is something to pay attention to. It started out that there may be one sustainability person that was sort of a puppet entity in a corporation and just kind of did their stuff. And a lot of it was puff piece and, just to make the company look good. And then that slowly but surely evolved into teams. And then the teams, had C-suite, offices next to CEOs, and they were being paid, given, an equal seat at the table. So I've seen that evolution. It definitely different, it is different at different companies. So I interviewed a lot of people who are just like, oh, the CEO is on board. Everybody is doing whatever they can. And then I had people in other companies, large and small, who just couldn't really convince the hires up to really make the decisions that needed to happen. It was not often that would happen, but it definitely, that conversation did come up. I mean, they couldn't really say too much because they wanted to keep their jobs, but, you could tell that the general feeling was that, it's an uphill battle. But I do think the overall theme is that it is sustainability as a field. It can be somewhat challenging because dollars and companies need to make money. And the job of sustainability people and people in that field in general is to convince them that there is a financial reason to actually make those decisions and that it's going to pay off, is going to be worth it.
Absolutely. Well, I've certainly just been impressed, and I won't name specific names, but we work with some larger organizations, but a lot of medium-sized companies, and even smaller companies, and I've just been so impressed with. And I hear the same things. Some say, "Oh, the C-suite's 100% on board." Some say, "This is kind of an uphill battle," but regardless, there is a sustainability person there, even if it's the director of operations and they tacked sustainability kind of onto their title. They are paying attention to it, and they are looking for opportunities to do both, right? To drive costs out of the business, but also do the right thing for the environment, for their community, for their customer, whatever it may be. And I will shamelessly plug again, just in case anybody hasn't seen our previous episodes. We have a great episode with Jeff Fromm, who's a friend of ours and works for Barclay here in Kansas City and is an author of several books. His most recent book, The Purpose Advantage, is all about how companies who inject purpose into everything that they do and really live through their purpose tend to outperform their competition. And I think you can see that. I think you can tell. He talks a lot about the discerning consumer, but I think you can tell even sometimes from a distance whether or not a company is really kind of drinking the Kool-Aid, if you will, or if they've just thrown up a tab on their website and someone told them they needed to do this because it's 2020 and it's important.
You can't, yes, and I totally agree with you. I think you can't really get away with that as much anymore because people, they smell a rat immediately. They're like, no, you're not walking the walk. So I agree. One other thing I will say too is just about the sort of human component of everything. And I think that sustainability people, at least in my experience, are people, they're people who feel, they want to connect, they want to communicate with you, they want to make those connections. And I think that aspect of things is super, super important in this field as companies bring these people on, because they will have dual roles. They'll be like in my case at BioStar, I'm doing marketing and writing, and I have the sustainability background. So I think it's just that human component that you see a lot with people who choose the field, that they're communicators because they want to teach people how the field is going to, how if the company makes the right decision, that it will actually have a positive impact quicker than a lot of people think.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great comment and a great point. And that's a good transition actually into kind of what you're doing here at BioStar. I want to hear from your perspective, your role here, what you like about it, kind of, and tell our viewers and listeners what you're working on here at BioStar.
So that is a perfect segue, because I will say that what is, as a feeler, an emotional person and passionate person, when you decide to work for a company, for me, it was about the people. So when I came in and met you and Andy and Missy and Bill, there was a feeling of warmth and a feeling of entrepreneurship and fearlessness and um, just a work ethic that I saw that I felt was super strong. And so I, had to see myself, did I see myself culturally fitting into this company? And that was a no-brainer from the outset. I just sort of was like, this is terrific. And obviously the work is important. And I knew that there was a need to get that story out into the wider, universe. And we need to tell our stories, and or else nobody will know what we're doing. And
Sure.
so that was super, exciting for me. And then the writing piece, I hadn't done a lot of writing in a while since my, radio show, because I was writing up the interviews and syndicating them. And so I hadn't really done a lot of sustainability focused writing in a while. And I was like, it'll get like, get those brain cells back going,
Yeah.
but, because we haven't talked about Beauty Counter, but that's my current other little side job here, but it's not a lot of writing. And so I was super excited to do that as well. And, and frankly, to work with the team, and to have that sense of just a familial sense of pushing towards a goal. So that was, and I think BioStar kind of checked all the boxes, and I was like, wow, okay, this is cool.
Awesome. Well, we definitely felt the same way, and I will say huge kudos to you. Um, you're raising a daughter, there's no school, we have a pandemic, and we've still been able to really kind of kick our marketing team into the next gear. And we have other people, Lindsay and Ashley and Missy and others, to thank for that as well. But you've absolutely helped us really jumpstart a lot of these things that we want to do. And like you said, we are doing some cool things, and we need to talk about them, and we need to get them out there for the world to see, because it's important, I think, particularly in the solar side of our business, the energy service side of our business. There's a lot more adoption in the things we do, and some of it frankly has become commoditized. And so on the solar side, just being able to kind of show that there are medium-sized, small-size, and large-size companies out there adopting this technology. There's ways to do this without shelling out huge amounts of capital. And so we have loved having you on the team. I do want to go back a little bit, though, to Beauty Counter, your side hustle, if you will. You actually have been working with Beauty Counter for a long time. Not that it's not a lot of work, but tell me about Beauty Counter, because I think our viewers may be interested both from the product standpoint, but also Beauty Counter is focused in sustainability, right? So I want to talk about that a little bit.
So as a single parent to a now 6-year-old as of yesterday, it was her birthday yesterday. It was super fun.
Happy birthday, Caroline.
She had a great day. Mommy did it all. Like,
oh
my gosh. Anyway, so she was 8 months old, and I was contemplating. I took time off from the radio show and some consulting work, and I was like, gosh, it was a very thoughtful decision on my part to have a child as a single parent. And I wanted to be around at least, for the first 5 years, at least in my mind. It was like, I want to be home. I want to be with her. And that's just what's going to happen. So Beauty Counter, when she was 8 months old, someone said to me, have you heard of this company? No, I haven't heard of this company. And so you should look into it. They're a direct sales company, and they hire, you just jump on as a consultant, and they're a skincare and makeup company, and they are really growing to be the cleanest in the industry and filling a niche, frankly. I mean, there's clean beauty out there, but there's not really that one-stop shop clean beauty, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it was really something I was like, I'm going to be selling skincare and makeup? Like, that's so weird. I barely wear any makeup. I mean, I love skincare, but I'm not just one of those people that's like, woo. So I was just like, I don't know if I really see myself doing that. But I did some research on the company, and the leader is a woman. It's a woman-founded business. Her name is Greg, and people always think she's a male, but she's not. She's Greg, a woman, and she's super impressive. And I could tell that the company was it was set up in a really terrific way, that it wasn't really going anywhere. So I got in pretty early. It was only 2 years old when I jumped in, and I got in and just started doing it. And the line grew, the sustainability message grew. It started off just it was mission based. I would say more mission based than sustainability. It was purpose based. There was, it was clean products. It was about educating people about the ingredients that they put on their skin, their largest organ, every day. It was about wellness, health. And I was like, this is right up my alley. And it pushed me, because even though I was doing the radio show and I wasn't really in sales, you're always, everybody is kind of a salesperson. You're selling this, that, the other. I mean, we all are inherently salespeople, but I wasn't really selling anything. But it really pushed me to be fearless about it and unapologetic about it. And I slowly but surely built up this amazing client base because there was a need. And then the line grew and our mission grew, and we lobby Congress. So we go there every other year, I believe, that we send 100 consultants to DC. We lobby Congress. We walk the walk. And now we're kind of closing the loop with our packaging now. So the sustainability is really coming in. They've hired somebody now at the beauty counter that does the sustainability stuff. So they've grown that way. And I've just been thrilled by it, because it's not just selling skincare and makeup and lipstick. It's like I educate people and I teach people about making smart choices. So it's been incredibly
well, as a person with sensitive skin, I can absolutely appreciate understanding what you're putting on your face. And I frankly didn't care that much. But until, you break out, I still have issues sometimes. But I'm fortunate to have a wife and a mother who are very helpful and know all the good products. I haven't tried any beauty counter products. I don't know do you have a men's line?
There's a men's line there. So that's the other thing.
Line,
there's a men's line, there's a baby line, there's a kid line. So it really is a one-stop shop. And I think a lot of people just love that aspect of it, that we are literally the cleanest on the market. Like if there's any questionable ingredient, we pull the product. And a lot of those are based, those questionable products are based on our supply chain and blips in the supply chain. So if we are not totally sure of what's going on out there, we will pull a product until we're absolutely sure, because it's our reputation on the line. And we just don't fool around. And the efficacy of the product is high. The products work. So, it makes my job easy when products work and they sell themselves, because then I can work on the education piece for people. But, coming back to how I can fit that into BioStar. So since I've been doing it for 5 years now, my client base is pretty big, and I have that, set client base. I'm always working super hard, but I can fit it into my life when I'm not working. I work at BioStar when I'm not, taking care of my 6-year-old now. So weird to say 6. She's so old now. Anyway, so, you can fit it in. You can, fit it in seamlessly. So it's been really nice. And so I don't, most days I don't feel like I'm taking on too much. It's been great.
Yeah. Well, props to you for having that entrepreneurial spirit and figuring out, you're as you mentioned, a single mother, so you've created a dual income for yourself. That's good.
I've always been slightly unconventional, and it's just who I am.
That's great. Well, this has been really great, Chrissy. Thank you so much for taking some time, and I think our viewers will really enjoy it, enjoy getting to know our team a little bit better. And thank you for being the guinea pig on the employee highlight version of the RENEWables podcast. It's been really fun. Awesome. All right. Well, happy birthday again to Caroline. And we will talk very soon. Bye, Chrissy.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Thanks.